Welcome to the Silhouettes of Success podcast with your host, successful entrepreneur, broker, and business mentor, Amber Weitzer. Because success comes in all shapes, sizes, and styles, the Silhouettes of Success podcast is shining the light on industrious women with a collection of curated conversations of intentional inspiration designed to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, feed your soul, and gift you with actionable insights directly from inspirational, everyday women who've shown tenacity, grit, and grace, having taken on the challenges in their lives and business and won. Remarkable, down-to-earth, and relatable, Amber and her guests will share with you uplifting and extraordinary real-life success stories, motivational ideas that just might help spark something within you. With the deepest desire to serve you, help you grow so you can begin to shine the light that will illuminate your very own silhouette of success. So, let's get to it.
Well, hello and welcome to the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success. Happy New Year's Eve to you and yours. I hope you are having a wonderful evening. This is being recorded today, New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2020. And it's cold and rainy out, and it's probably the perfect way to wrap up this year. And I mean that with all love and sincerity. There's so many blessings, even though I know it was definitely a tough one. So with that said, it's a perfect segue into what I was sharing with you this evening for today's podcast. And that is just the vulnerability that we've talked about in different episodes and goal setting and all of those things kind of wrapped up into this one. And it is one of my personal goals that I've thrown out there from time to time in the different episodes. And that is this particular goal that we're going to talk about is me sharing with you where I'm at and how it went. And the goal was to read 200 books in 2020. It was a lofty goal to read 200 books in 2020, just one of the many goals for the year. But the end date has arrived, and I didn't grow up with a book in my hand or find myself tucked away in the corner reading, engrossed in a good book. Growing up, books were everywhere, just maybe not always with me. I fondly recall having favorites, some of which are in my library today. But in general, I had other things to do. So it's only been within the last 7 years or so that I've truly been interested in and hungry for the knowledge from a hardback. And an interesting observation is I came across a snippet in one of my much talked about journals, and it goes a little something like this. I worked in one real estate office that used books purely as decorations to hold an orchid. I worked in another real estate office that used them as trophies. So I vowed to use them for growth, to read them, to appreciate them, and to share them when I opened my own real estate office. So I won't tell you the dates on all of those. It doesn't matter. But what does matter is when I first opened my real estate brokerage and went independent late in December of 2016, one of the very first actions I took was creating the bookshelf. And that was, of course, filled with physical books and then recorded and shared and, of course, gifted many books of the favorites from that. So I thought it was quite interesting to share that as I was kind of pulling together my thoughts for this podcast tonight. So enter the new year 2020. I set out to read 200 books in 2020. It sounded catchy. I read every morning from minimum 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. already, so it's very doable. It is now December 31st, 2020. The sun has set, if there was sunshine out today at all, probably not. And I have fallen short of my goal. I did not reach my goal of 200 books, and that is disappointing to me. And I was really ready to impress myself. So what went wrong? Well, I professed my goal throughout the year. I asked to be held accountable. I have enough books. I bought even more books. And I still fell short of achieving the goal. So there's no excuses. I'm just sharing a little bit with you this evening. So picture it as one of my favorite shows, Golden Girls. Sophie always starts out, she says, picture it. On my desk, I keep an hourglass with, beautiful sparkling white sand. And when something perhaps negative happens, or it's a tough phone call, upsetting situation, etc., you name it, fill in the blank, I turn the hourglass over. And by the time the sand completes its cycle, I must move on. So it allows me to take time to acknowledge a situation, to filter through my emotions, reset my mind, and release it, whatever it is. So this evening, we are going to tip over the hourglass as I break down my goal and the lessons learned and what happened together with you. So this is a little bit of raw therapy for me. So time to reflect, time to correct, and learn from this lesson before the next goal is set. And what did I allow to get in the way that I fell short? And Coach Julie, my coach, is going to love that I'm breaking this down. So the first thing that I came up with, it was complacency. I was too comfortable saying the goal, but too casual in staying after the goal. Procrastination. If I did not spend the time in the morning, something got in the way, I allowed something to get in the way, I would say, I'll catch up the reading that I missed today, tomorrow, or this afternoon. So the accumulation effect of postponing my reading became overwhelming. And when I started doing math to reflect and thinking I was on my game in case she asked me, where was I with my goal, or any of the accountability folks say, hey, how are you doing on that goal? I'd have the numbers right there at my fingertips. So for a while it was, 3.5 books a day to catch up. Then it quickly rose to 5.35 books a day to catch up. Then the holidays and Christmas week and all those other things that we have to do in our lives, I blew it. So I was a wee bit too impressed with myself and the analytical in me that came out because I knew the math. I knew where I was and where I wasn't in my goal. But then you sit there and think about it, and perhaps was that another procrastination action I was taking when I should have taken that time instead of doing math had I been reading. So there you go. And the importance, how important was that goal to me really? Was I trying to prove something? Was it merely, was I seeking the enrichment of the content of the books that I was proclaiming to respect as another goal that I had set out for myself years ago? And why was it important? So I'm still asking myself these questions as we're working through this message together this evening. But what I have learned for me is a goal has a specific formula, and it is my own personal concoction. I don't think it's written anywhere because I have figured out for myself what works for me. And for me, it has to be something big. It has to be bold, and it has to be enough for me to strive to obtain with the big mixture of white heat desire of a Y factor for it to motivate me. Certainly 200 books in 2020 was big and bold and super impressive to accomplish. And I now see that the white heat desire of a Y factor was sorely lacking from my formula. So the sand is at the halfway mark as we're working through this. So I reflect back, and I'm simply short on discipline to stick with that plan and lacking the true desire to fulfill the goal. So I would share with you that the motivation and importance weren't as sincere as maybe I initially thought. Was it superficial? Maybe. Was it a whim with the catchy vibe in my highly caffeinated state of mind at, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning? Maybe. But in my mind, almost 360 whatever days ago at the time I set the goal, it sure made sense. So there you have it. Total vulnerable. There you go. I did not make it. I fell short, and the time's up, and the sand has emptied. And so we're going to flip this the other way. And let's talk about what was achieved over the journey towards the goal versus dwelling on what isn't and obviously isn't going to happen. So in the butt kicking words of my coach, Coach Julie, she would say, "Stop it," all caps. And she shared that with me a couple weeks ago. And then she said, "Do you know Bob Newhart?" I said, "Of course I know of Bob Newhart. I used to watch that." So if you don't know Bob Newhart, go find it on YouTube and search for Bob Newhart. Stop it. It is hilarious. It applies across all ages and dynamics, and it is timeless, and it is funny. So with that, we say stop it. And now I'm looking at my hourglass. And so to me, instead of it being emptied, it is now half full. So let's move forward. So what was gained? Well, I would say, oh, so much was gained. The array of books that I read, the content, the material, the education that I gained, in the beginning of my journey, I tended to grab for the business and podcasting and e-learning and biographies and real estate investments, etiquette, leadership, entrepreneur genres, all of those things. And that was leading up to really pre-COVID. So that was early and through the spring. And then, of course, this year, and sorry, I'm going to use the word, but it was pivot. And that became one of the catchwords, but that's what everybody did for the most part. It was a year to rethink everything, to reevaluate our skills, to invest in ourselves, our families, our businesses, and reimagine it all to, in most cases, sustain and survive. And I was well armed, thankfully, because of the content and the amazing material that I had invested in. So towards the middle of the year, of course, things started to change. And so farming and agriculture, health and politics and history, civics and theory worked their way into my big stack of books and next to my reading chair, mixed a little bit of religion in there. So, of course, that was that series and season of the year. And after all of that, I needed something completely different. And so it's so funny because I did pick some Dr. Seuss books. And interestingly, at least 3 people asked me throughout my course of professing my goal if Dr. Seuss counted. And I said, yes, actually, how ironic, he does. And there are so many valuable lessons within that. Sprinkle in some more Shel Silverstein, and that was needed too. And towards the end of the year, the stack of books really contained local community history, a lot of the arts, screenplays and travel, cooking, and, then really the classics. So I think the mood and the tone of the year shifted. My mindset shifted, and I think I realized that the initial subtle goal of enrichment was actually ongoing. So epiphany, it really didn't matter the quantity, if you will, but obviously the quality, and it has served me well. So in addition, after this year, I think it was a little bit of time to relax, slow down, and savor the words on each page, the intimate settings and places I could go within the pages of the hardbacks that had eluded me for far, far too long. I was focused on the goal, and I almost missed the journey. So it feels so much more impactful to my soul in keeping my journaled goal of respecting the books versus a somewhat ego-based goal of the 200 in 2020. So with that, it has been such a year. It has been such a journey. I am so grateful to all of you for your support. I am grateful to all of the amazing silhouettes of success stories that we have shared in those phenomenal women and the VIP guests so far. And I am thrilled to look forward to 2021. Have a great, happy New Year's Eve.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Silhouettes of Success podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out and join us for all the new episodes. We are here for you and with you. We encourage you to share this podcast on all your socials and pass on the light to help illuminate another silhouette of success. Amber would love to hear from you, and you can find her on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or head over to amberweitzer.com. Let's connect. Help us all shine and leave us a review too. To find out the latest ways to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, and gain actionable insights, subscribe at amberweitzer.com. We are honored, humbled, and full of joy that you've tuned in. Remember, you are exactly where you need to be, right here with us. This is the Amber Weitzer Podcast, Silhouettes of Success.